Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped off the transport shuttle and felt the artificial gravity of Research Station Kepler 440 to settle around her, like a gentle embrace. After 3 months of travel through space, even fake gravity felt wonderful. She grabbed her research bag and looked around the docking bay. Everything looked clean and modern, with white walls and blue lights that made her feel like she was inside a giant computer. "Welcome to Kepler Station," said a cheerful voice behind her. Elena turned to see a young man in a blue uniform walking toward her. "I'm Lieutenant Chen, your guide for today. Ready to meet our special guest?" Elena nodded, trying to hide her nervousness. She had studied alien cultures for 15 years, but this was her first time meeting an actual alien. The Altarian Collective had sent their best diplomat to Earth's outer research station, and Elena was chosen to document everything about their culture and way of life. As they walked through the station's corridors, Lieutenant Chen chatted about daily life on the station. "We have about 200 people here," he said. "Scientists, engineers, medical staff, and security. It's like a small town floating in space." Elena barely heard him. Her mind was focused on the meeting ahead. She had read every report about the Altarians, studied their language basics, and prepared hundreds of questions. But reading about aliens and meeting one face-to-face were completely different things. They stopped in front of a door marked Diplomatic Suite. Lieutenant Chen pressed a button, and the door slid open with a soft whoosh. "She's waiting for you inside," he said with a smile. "Good luck, Doctor." Elena walked into the room and immediately felt like she had entered a different world. The walls were covered with what looked like living plants, but they glowed softly with their own light. The furniture was curved and flowing, nothing like the hard edges of human design. And in the center of the room, standing beside a large window that showed the alien planet below, was Zeravel. Elena's first thought was how beautiful she looked. Zeravel was tall, about 6 feet, with a graceful way of moving that reminded Elena of a dancer. Her skin had a soft, pearl-like glow that seemed to change color slightly as she moved. Her eyes were larger than human eyes, a deep purple color that seemed to hold starlight. Her hair was silver white and moved as if it were underwater, even though there was no breeze. "Dr. Vasquez," Zeravel said, her voice musical and warm. "I am honored to meet you. I have been looking forward to our conversations." Elena was surprised by how perfectly Zeravel spoke English. There was no alien accent, no strange pauses. She sounded like she could have been born on Earth. "The honor is mine," Elena replied, trying to sound professional. "I hope our time together will be helpful for both our peoples." Zeravel smiled, and Elena noticed that her expressions were completely human-like. "Please, sit down. I have prepared some Earth tea for you. I learned that humans enjoy warm drinks during important conversations." As they sat across from each other, Elena felt her nervousness begin to fade. Zeravel had a calming presence that made her feel safe and welcome. The alien woman poured tea from a beautiful ceramic pot and handed Elena a cup. "You seem surprised by something," Zeravel said, tilting her head slightly. "What is it?" Elena took a sip of tea and found it was exactly how she liked it, not too strong, with just a hint of sweetness. "I didn't expect you to understand human customs so well," she admitted. "You even made my tea perfectly." Zeravel's eyes seemed to twinkle with amusement. "I have spent many years studying your people, Dr. Vasquez. 10 years, to be exact. I have watched how humans interact, how they show care for each other, how they build relationships. It has been fascinating." 10 years? Elena couldn't hide her surprise. "You've been studying us for that long." "Oh yes, I have visited Earth many times, though always quietly. I have walked through your cities, sat in your cafes, observed your families. I have read your books about love and friendship. I have even watched your movies about romance." Zeravel paused, her skin taking on a slightly warmer glow. Humans are incredibly complex when it comes to emotions and relationships. Elena felt a strange flutter in her chest. There was something about the way Zeravel talked about human emotions that made her feel exposed, like the alien woman could see right through her. "What did you find most interesting about us?" Elena asked. Pulling out her recording device, Zeravel noticed the device and nodded approvingly. "You may record everything, Doctor. I have nothing to hide." She settled back in her chair, her movements flowing like water. "What I find most fascinating is how humans connect with each other. The way you look into each other's eyes and somehow understand feelings without words. The way you touch each other gently to show care. The way you can fall in love with someone just by talking to them." Elena's hand trembled slightly as she held her teacup. "You studied human romance extensively," Zeravel replied with a soft smile. "I have observed couples in parks, watched how they court each other, seen how they express affection. I have studied the science of human attraction, the psychology of love, the art of physical intimacy. It is all so beautifully complicated." Elena felt her cheeks grow warm. She had expected to discuss politics, technology, maybe trade agreements. She hadn't expected to talk about love with an alien who seemed to understand it better. Then she did. "Why did you choose to study that particular aspect of human behavior?" Elena asked, trying to sound scientific and professional. Zeravel's expression became thoughtful. "Because love is the most powerful force in human society. It shapes your families, your communities, your entire civilization. To understand humans, one must understand how you love." She paused, studying Elena's face, "And I confess, I found it personally intriguing. My people experience connection differently than humans do." Elena realized she was leaning forward, completely absorbed in what Zeravel was saying. "How do your people experience love?" "We bond through shared consciousness, through mental connection. But humans, you must work to understand each other. You must learn to read expressions, to listen to tone of voice, to interpret body language. It requires such skill and patience. And when you succeed in truly connecting with another person, it seems to create something magical." Elena looked into Zeravel's purple eyes and felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Genuine curiosity about another person, mixed with an attraction she couldn't quite explain. Here was an alien woman who had spent a decade studying the very thing Elena had always struggled with in her own life. "I would like to learn more about your observations," Elena said quietly. "About what you've discovered about human connection." Zeravel's skin glowed a little brighter, and she smiled in a way that made Elena's heart beat faster. "I would be delighted to share everything I have learned, Dr. Vasquez. But I suspect that you may teach me things as well. After all, I have only been an observer until now." As the alien planet continued to turn slowly outside the window, Elena realized that this assignment was going to be unlike anything she had ever experienced. She was supposed to be studying Zeravel's culture, but instead, she found herself wondering what it would be like to be studied by someone who understood the mysteries of human love so well. The conversation continued into the evening, and Elena found herself completely captivated by this graceful, intelligent woman who had spent years learning the secrets of human hearts. She had no idea that she was about to become both student and teacher in the most important lesson of her life. 3 days had passed since Elena first met Zeravel, and their daily conversations had become the highlight of her time on the station. Every morning, she would find herself hurrying through breakfast, eager to return to the diplomatic suite, where Zeravel would be waiting with that warm smile and those knowing purple eyes. Today was different, though. Instead of meeting in the formal diplomatic room, Zeravel had suggested they talk in the observation deck. It was a large room with floor-to-ceiling windows that showed the beautiful alien world. Spinning slowly below them, the planet looked like a giant jewel, with swirling clouds of blue and gold covering oceans and continents that glowed softly in the light of twin suns. "I thought you might enjoy a change of scenery," Zeravel said as Elena entered the observation deck. The alien woman was standing near the windows, her silver hair catching the light from the planet below. Humans seem to think more freely when they can see open spaces. Elena walked over to join her, and they stood side by side looking out at the alien world. "It's beautiful," Elena whispered. "Your home planet." "One of them," Zeravel replied. "My people have many worlds, but this one holds special memories for me. I spent my childhood here." learning about different cultures and ways of life. They settled into comfortable chairs that faced the windows. Elena pulled out her recording device, but Zaravel gently placed a hand over it. "Perhaps today we could talk without recording," she suggested. "I have something more personal to share with you." Elena felt a flutter of nervousness mixed with excitement. "Of course. What would you like to talk about?" Zaravel turned to face her fully, and Elena was struck again by how expressive her alien features were. "I want to tell you about what I learned during my years of studying human relationships. But more importantly, I want to understand why you became interested in studying other cultures." Elena felt heat rise in her cheeks. That's not really relevant to our cultural exchange, isn't it?" Zaravel asked softly. "You study how people connect across different societies. But I sense that you struggle with connection in your own life. Am I wrong?" Elena looked down at her hands, surprised by how easily Zaravel could read her. I've always found it easier to study relationships from the outside rather than participate in them directly. Why do you think that is?" Elena was quiet for a long moment. She had never discussed her personal life with anyone, let alone with an alien diplomat. But something about Zaravel's gentle presence made her feel safe to be honest. "I think I'm afraid," Elena finally admitted. "In my work, I can observe and analyze and understand things logically. But real relationships, they require you to be vulnerable, to let someone see who you really are. And what if they don't like what they see?" Zaravel nodded thoughtfully. "During my years on Earth, I watched many humans struggle with this same fear. I saw people who desperately wanted connection, but were terrified of being hurt or rejected. What did you observe about how humans overcome that fear?" Zaravel's eyes seemed to sparkle with memories. "I watched couples in coffee shops, how they would start as strangers but gradually open up to each other. I saw how they used small gestures, a touch on the arm, maintaining eye contact, leaning closer when they talked. I noticed that humans often reveal their feelings through actions before they're brave enough to say them with words." Elena found herself leaning forward, completely absorbed. "Can you give me an example?" "There was a couple I observed in a park in your city called San Francisco. They met there every day for lunch, sitting on the same bench. At first, they sat far apart, formal and polite, but over weeks, I watched them gradually move closer. The woman would laugh at the man's jokes and touch his shoulder. The man would bring her favorite flowers. They were having a conversation about love without ever saying the word." Elena felt something stir in her chest. "That sounds beautiful." "It was," Zaravel said, her voice becoming softer. "But what struck me most was how they had to take risks to get closer. Each small gesture was a tiny act of courage. The woman had to risk that her touch might be unwelcome. The man had to risk that his flowers might be rejected." Elena looked out at the alien planet, thinking about all the times she had avoided taking such risks in her own life. "I've always been too scared to take those kinds of chances." "What are you scared of, really?" Zaravel asked gently. Elena turned back to face her and was surprised to find that Zaravel had moved her chair closer while they were talking. They were now sitting close enough that Elena could see the subtle patterns of light that moved across Zaravel's skin like living art. "I'm scared that I'm not interesting enough," Elena said quietly, "that I'm too serious, too focused on my work. I'm scared that if someone really got to know me, they would find me boring." Zaravel's expression became very tender. "Elena, may I share something I learned from watching humans?" Elena nodded, realizing that Zaravel had used her first name. For the first time, the humans who were most successful at finding love were not the most beautiful or the most exciting. They were the ones who were genuine, who showed their real selves, including their fears and imperfections. That authenticity is what draws people together. Elena felt tears prick at her eyes. "But how do you know when it's safe to be authentic with someone?" Zaravel smiled and reached out to gently touch Elena's hand. Her skin was warm and had a slight electric tingle that wasn't unpleasant. "You start small. You share a little truth and see how the other person responds. If they accept that truth with kindness, you can risk sharing a little more." Elena looked down at Zaravel's hand covering hers. The touch felt natural and comforting. Not alien at all. Is that what you're doing with me right now? Yes, Zeravel said simply. I am risking telling you that I find you fascinating, not boring. I am risking sharing that your dedication to understanding others is beautiful, not too serious. I am risking letting you know that I enjoy our conversations more than any formal diplomatic meeting. Elena felt her heart begin to race. Zeravel, I have studied human courtship for years. Zeravel continued, her purple eyes holding Elena's gaze. I have observed the dance of attraction, the careful steps people take toward each other. But I have never participated in it myself. I have never felt the flutter of nervousness when someone looks at me. The way you are looking at me right now. Elena realized that she was indeed looking at Zeravel differently than she had 3 days ago. The alien woman wasn't just a research subject anymore. She was someone Elena was beginning to care about. Someone who made her feel understood and accepted. What happens now? Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zeravel's skin began to glow more brightly, and Elena realized this must be how her people showed emotion. Now we take the next small risk. We see if two people from different worlds can find something beautiful together. Elena squeezed Zeravel's hand gently. I like that. But I should warn you, I'm not very good at this. Zeravel laughed, a sound like silver bells. Then we will learn together, after all. I may have studied human love, but I have never experienced it. Perhaps you can teach me what it feels like from the inside. As they sat together, watching the alien world turn below them, Elena realized that for the first time in her life, she was excited about the possibility of love rather than afraid of it, and it was an alien woman who was teaching her how to be human. A week had passed since Elena and Zeravel's conversation on the observation deck, and their relationship had shifted into something deeper and more personal. Elena found herself looking forward to their meetings with a kind of excitement she hadn't felt in years. Today, Zeravel had suggested they meet in the station's garden dome, a peaceful area filled with plants from both Earth and various alien worlds. Elena arrived to find Zeravel sitting on a wooden bench surrounded by flowering vines that glowed softly in the artificial sunlight. She wore a flowing dress that seemed to be made of liquid starlight, and her silver hair was decorated with small flowers that Elena had never seen before. Those are beautiful, Elena said, gesturing to the flowers in Zeravel's hair as she sat down beside her. They're from my home world, Zeravel explained, touching one of the petals gently. They only bloom when they sense happiness nearby. I thought you might like to see them. Elena felt a warmth spread through her chest. They bloom because you're happy. They bloom because we're both happy. Zeravel corrected with a smile. They respond to shared joy. Elena looked around the garden, noticing how peaceful and private it felt. This is nice, more relaxing than the diplomatic suite. I chose this place because I wanted to share something important with you, Zeravel said, turning to face Elena directly. I want to show you what I learned about human vulnerability and trust. Elena felt her stomach flutter with nervous excitement. What do you mean? Zeravel's expression became gentle and serious. I noticed during my years on Earth that humans often struggle with being truly seen by others. You build walls to protect yourselves, but those same walls prevent you from experiencing deep connection. That sounds about right, Elena admitted. I've definitely built my share of walls. The couples I observed who had the strongest relationships were the ones who learned to lower their walls gradually. They would share their fears, their dreams, their embarrassing moments. They would let their partners see them at their most human. Elena shifted uncomfortably. That sounds terrifying. It is, Zeravel agreed. But it's also beautiful. When someone accepts you completely, flaws and all, it creates a bond that's stronger than any wall. Elena looked at Zeravel's kind face and felt something inside her chest loosen. What kind of things did you see people share? Simple things, mostly. One woman told her partner about how she used to be afraid of the dark as a child. A man shared that he still kept his childhood stuffed animal on his dresser. Another couple talked about their failed relationships and what they learned from them. And their partners didn't judge them. The good partners didn't. They listened with kindness and often shared their own vulnerable moments in return. It was like watching people give each other gifts of trust. Elena felt tears prick at her eyes. I don't think I've ever trusted anyone enough to share things like that. Zaravel reached out and gently took Elena's hand. Would you like to try? With me? Elena's heart began to race. I don't know where to start. Start anywhere. Zaravel encouraged. Share something small that you normally keep to yourself. Elena was quiet for a long moment, looking down at their joined hands. Zaravel's skin felt warm and somehow comforting, like touching smooth stone that had been warmed by the sun. I still sleep with a nightlight. Elena finally whispered, I'm 38 years old, and I'm still afraid of complete darkness. Instead of laughing or judging, Zaravel squeezed her hand gently. Thank you for telling me that. It makes me feel honored that you would share something so personal. Elena looked up in surprise. You're not going to think I'm childish. I think you're human, Zaravel said simply. And I think you're brave for telling me. Elena felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Your turn. Share something vulnerable with me. Zaravel's skin began to glow slightly, which Elena had learned meant she was feeling strong emotions. I'm terrified that I'll never truly understand what it feels like to be loved. The way humans love each other. I've studied it for years, but I've never experienced it myself. Elena felt her heart ache for the beautiful woman sitting beside her. That must be so lonely. It has been, Zaravel admitted, especially when I would watch couples and see how they looked at each other with such tenderness. I wondered if anyone would ever look at me that way. Elena realized that she was already looking at Zaravel that way. You're not alone anymore. Zaravel's glow intensified, and the flowers in her hair seemed to bloom brighter. Elena, may I show you something else I learned about human connection? Elena nodded, feeling breathless with anticipation. I observed that humans often communicate their feelings through touch. Before they're ready to say them with words, a hand on a shoulder, fingers brushing together. Sitting close enough to feel each other's warmth, as if to demonstrate, Zaravel gently reached up and tucked a strand of Elena's hair behind her ear. The touch was soft and intimate, and Elena felt her breath catch. I also noticed that humans look into each other's eyes when they're feeling something deep. Zaravel continued, her purple eyes gazing directly into Elena's. They use eye contact to share emotions they can't quite express yet, Elena found, herself getting lost in Zaravel's gaze. What else did you observe? That when humans are falling in love, they often forget about the rest of the world. They become completely focused on each other, as if nothing else exists. Elena realized that this was exactly what was happening to them, the garden, the station. Even the alien planet outside seemed to fade away until there was only Zaravel's glowing skin and kind eyes. Zaravel, Elena whispered, I think you understand human love better than most humans do. I understand it in theory, Zaravel replied softly, but I'm only just beginning to understand what it feels like. Elena felt a surge of courage that surprised her. What does it feel like? Like I want to know everything about you. Like your happiness has become important to my own happiness. Like I want to protect you and make you smile and share all my thoughts with you. Elena's heart was pounding so hard she was sure Zaravel could hear it. Those are exactly the things I've been feeling about you. Zaravel's smile was radiant. Then perhaps we're both learning something new. Elena realized that somewhere in the past week, she had stopped being afraid of vulnerability and started embracing it. Zaravel had taught her that being seen completely by another person wasn't something to fear. It was something to treasure. I want to keep learning with you, Elena said, her voice steady despite her racing heart, and I want to keep teaching. You, Zaravel replied, while you teach me what it means to feel love instead of just understanding it. As they sat together in the garden, surrounded by flowers that bloomed brighter in response to their shared joy, Elena realized that she had found something she had never expected, someone who made her feel brave enough to be completely herself. And in teaching Elena about human love, Zaravel was discovering what it meant to experience it firsthand. The walls Elena had built around her heart were finally coming down, and she was no longer afraid of what might happen when someone truly saw who she was inside. 2 weeks had passed since Elena and Zaravel's conversation in the garden. and their relationship had blossomed into something beautiful and deep. Elena felt like a completely different person, more confident, more open, more willing to take emotional risks. Tonight was different though. For the first time, Zaravel had invited Elena to her private quarters. Instead of meeting in the common areas of the station, Elena stood outside Zaravel's door, holding a small bouquet of earth flowers she had picked from the garden. Her heart was beating fast, not from nervousness, but from excitement. She had spent the day thinking about everything Zaravel had taught her about love and connection, and she realized something important. While Zaravel had been helping her understand human emotions, Elena had never really focused on understanding Zaravel's true nature. The door opened before Elena could knock, and Zaravel stood there wearing a simple dress that seemed to be made of flowing water. Her skin was glowing more brightly than Elena had ever seen it, and her silver hair moved gently around her shoulders like it was alive. "Elena," Zaravel said with a warm smile. "Please, come in." Elena stepped into the room and gasped softly. Zaravel's quarters were nothing like the sterile human spaces on the station. The walls seemed to breathe with soft, living light. Plants that Elena had never seen before grew in graceful spirals. From the floor to the ceiling, their leaves shimmering, with colors that shifted like rainbows. The furniture looked like it had grown naturally from the ground, curved and organic and beautiful. "This is incredible," Elena whispered, turning in a slow circle to take it all in. "It's like being inside a living poem." Zaravel's glow intensified. "With pleasure. This is how my people live. We don't build separate from nature. We become part of it. I've been hiding this from you because I wasn't sure how you would react." Elena turned to face her, holding out the earth flowers. "You've been hiding who you really are." Zaravel accepted the flowers with a gentle smile, but Elena could see something sad in her purple eyes. "I've been so focused on understanding human ways that I almost forgot my own. I wanted you to see me as someone you could connect with, not as something alien and strange." Elena felt her heart ache. "Zaravel, you don't have to hide any part of yourself from me. I want to know all of you. The human things you've learned and the alien things that make you who you are." Zaravel's eyes widened with surprise. "You do?" "Of course I do," Elena said, stepping closer. "You spent weeks teaching me about human love, but what about your kind of love? How do your people show affection? How do they connect with each other?" Zaravel's skin began to pulse with soft waves of light. "We share our inner glow with each other. When my people care for someone, our light synchronizes. We become like the stars dancing together." Elena reached out and gently touched Zaravel's glowing arm. "Show me." Zaravel looked uncertain. "Are you sure? It might feel strange to you." "I'm sure," Elena said firmly. "I want to understand you the way you've understood me." Zaravel closed her eyes and took a deep breath, slowly. Her glow began to intensify, and Elena felt a warm, tingling sensation spread from where she was touching Zaravel's arm. It wasn't uncomfortable. It felt like being wrapped in sunshine and music at the same time. "This is how we communicate deep feelings," Zaravel explained softly, "through shared light, shared energy. It's more intimate than words." Elena felt tears of wonder in her eyes. "It's beautiful. I can feel your emotions, your joy, your affection, your loneliness." Zaravel's eyes opened, and Elena saw vulnerability there that she had never seen before. "I have been lonely for so long, Elena, watching human love from the outside, never participating in it myself. Even now, I sometimes feel like I'm still just observing, trying to be what I think you want me to be." Elena felt a surge of protectiveness and love so strong it surprised her. "You don't have to be anything but yourself. I don't want you to perform human love for me. I want to experience real love with the real you." Elena moved closer, placing both hands on Zaravel's face. "Let me show you something I've learned." "What's that?" Zaravel whispered. "That love isn't about being perfect or knowing all the right things to do. It's about being genuine and caring more about someone else's happiness than your own comfort." Elena leaned forward and gently kissed Zaravel's forehead, then her cheek, then finally her lips. The kiss was soft and sweet, and Elena felt Zaravel's glow pulse brighter in response. When they parted, Zaravel's eyes were shining with tears. I've watched humans kiss thousands of times, but I never understood how it would feel. How does it feel? Elena asked softly. Like coming home, Zaravel replied. Like finding something I didn't know I was looking for. Elena smiled and took Zaravel's hands in hers. You've taught me so much about opening my heart. Now let me teach you something. You don't have to earn love by being perfect. You already deserve it just by being you. Zaravel's glow became so bright that the entire room seemed to shimmer with golden light. Elena, I think I'm falling in love with you. I think I'm falling in love with you too, Elena replied. Not with the human things you've learned, but with your curiosity, your kindness, your beautiful alien nature, and the way you make me feel like the best version of myself. They spent the rest of the evening talking and laughing, sharing stories about their different worlds and discovering how much they had in common. Despite being from different species, Elena learned about Zaravel's childhood on distant planets, her dreams of building bridges between different cultures, and her fears about never fitting in anywhere. In return, Elena shared her own dreams and fears, and found that Zaravel listened with the same patience and understanding she had shown from the beginning. As the artificial night fell over the station, Elena realized that their roles had completely reversed. Zaravel had started as the teacher, the one who understood love and connection. But now Elena was the one helping Zaravel understand what it meant to be truly seen and accepted for who she was. Thank you, Zaravel said as they sat together on her living furniture, Elena's head resting on her shoulder. For what? Elena asked. For teaching me that love isn't something you study or master. It's something you feel and share and grow into. Together, Elena smiled and squeezed Zaravel's hand. We're both still learning, but now we're learning together. As Zaravel's gentle glow surrounded them like a warm blanket, Elena knew that she had found something precious and rare, a love that transcended species and planets and everything she had thought she knew about connection, and in teaching Zaravel about acceptance and authenticity. She had learned the most important lesson of all, that real love means loving someone exactly as they are, alien nature and all. The morning sun from the alien planet cast rainbow patterns through the windows of the station's main conference room as Elena sat across from Commander Rodriguez, trying to explain the most important discovery of her career. 3 weeks had passed since that magical evening in Zaravel's quarters, and now Elena faced the challenging task of writing her official report about the cultural exchange program. Dr. Vasquez, Commander Rodriguez said, looking at the preliminary notes Elena had submitted, your report is unusual. You've documented very little about Altarian technology or political systems. Instead, you've written extensively about emotional connections and relationship dynamics. Elena felt her cheeks warm, but she kept her voice steady. Commander, I believe that understanding how a species experiences love and connection is the key to building lasting diplomatic relationships with them. And you base this conclusion on what, exactly? The commander asked, raising an eyebrow. Elena took a deep breath. On the fact that Zaravel and I have formed a bond that goes beyond typical diplomatic relations. She has taught me things about human nature that I never understood, and I have helped her experience emotions she had only observed before. Commander Rodriguez leaned back in his chair. Dr. Vasquez, are you telling me that you've become personally involved with our alien diplomat? I'm telling you that we've discovered something important, Elena replied firmly. Love and connection aren't just human experiences, they're universal. And if we can understand how different species experience these emotions, we can build bridges between worlds. Before the commander could respond, the conference room door opened and Zaravel entered. She moved with her usual grace, but Elena could see the nervous energy in the way her skin flickered with subtle changes of light. Commander Rodriguez, Zaravel said with a polite bow. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. Actually, you're right on time, the commander said. Dr. Vasquez was just explaining her unique approach to cultural documentation. Zaravel's eyes met Elena's, and Elena saw understanding and support there. If I may, Commander, I would like to share my perspective on our cultural exchange, please. Go ahead, the commander said, gesturing to an empty chair. Zeravel sat down gracefully, her dress shifting colors like liquid starlight. When I was assigned to this mission, my people expected me to gather information about human military capabilities, technological advances, and political structures. Standard diplomatic intelligence. Elena felt a flicker of surprise. She had never thought about the political aspects of Zeravel's mission, but what I discovered, Zeravel continued, was something far more valuable. I learned that humans and Altarians are not so different when it comes to the fundamental need for connection and understanding. How so? Commander Rodriguez asked, leaning forward with interest. Dr. Vasquez taught me that love is not just a human emotion, it's a universal language. When two beings can see past their differences and connect on a deeper level, they create something stronger than any political treaty or trade agreement. Elena felt her heart swell with pride and affection for this remarkable woman, who had become so important to her. She also taught me, Zeravel continued, that true diplomacy isn't about one species studying another from a distance. It's about building genuine relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Commander Rodriguez was quiet for a moment, then looked at Elena. And what do you propose we do with this discovery? Elena stood up, feeling more confident than she had in weeks. I propose that we establish a new kind of cultural exchange program. Not just scientists studying aliens, but people from different worlds living together, working together, and learning from each other as equals. That's a beautiful idea, the commander said slowly. But how do we know it would work on a larger scale? Zeravel's skin began to glow brighter. Because Elena and I are proof that it works. We've created something that neither of our species has achieved before, a genuine partnership. That makes both of us stronger. Elena reached out and took Zeravel's hand, feeling the familiar warm tingle of their connection. We've learned that love doesn't care about species or planets or physical differences. It only cares about two beings who choose to understand and support each other. Commander Rodriguez watched their joined hands and seemed to see something that made him smile. You know, in all my years of diplomatic work, I've never seen two representatives from different species interact with such natural affection. That's because most diplomatic interactions are based on fear and suspicion, Elena said. But when you approach another species with curiosity and openness instead of fear, amazing things can happen. Zeravel squeezed Elena's hand gently. Elena has shown me that humans are capable of incredible emotional growth, and I hope I've shown her that aliens can be trusted partners, not just subjects to be studied. The commander nodded thoughtfully. What would this new program look like in practice? Elena felt excitement building in her chest. We could start small. A few volunteers from each species, living and working together on projects that benefit both worlds, scientists, artists, teachers, people who are interested in building bridges instead of walls. And we could document not just what we learn about each other's cultures, Zeravel added, but how the relationships themselves change us. How love and friendship can transform the way entire species interact. Commander Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment, then smiled. I think the higher-ups are going to find this very interesting. A diplomatic program based on emotional connection, rather than political negotiation. Elena felt a surge of hope. Does that mean you'll support our proposal? I'll do more than support it, the commander said. I'll recommend it to the Galactic Council as a new model for interspecies relations. After the commander left, Elena and Zeravel walked together to the observation deck where they had shared so many important conversations. The alien planet turned slowly below them, its beauty as breathtaking as ever. Are you ready for this? Elena asked, wrapping her arms around Zeravel's waist. If our program is approved, we'll be pioneers in a completely new kind of diplomacy. Zeravel leaned back against Elena's chest, her glow warm and steady. I've been ready my whole life. I just didn't know it until I met you. Elena kissed the top of Zeravel's silver hair. I love you, you know, not just the human things you've learned, but your alien wisdom, your glowing skin, your different way of seeing the world. And I love you, Zeravel replied, turning in Elena's arms. You taught me that love isn't something you study from the outside. It's something you live and breathe and share with someone special. As they stood together watching the stars, Elena realized that their love story was just beginning. They had proven that connection could transcend species, that understanding could overcome fear, and that two beings from different worlds could find something beautiful together. What happens next? Elena asked. Zeravel smiled, her eyes sparkling with the light of distant stars. Next, we show the universe that love really is a universal language, and maybe, if we're lucky, we'll help other species find what we found. Elena kissed her gently, tasting starlight and possibility. I can't think of anything I'd rather do than change the universe with you. As the alien planet continued its eternal dance through space, Elena and Zeravel held each other close, knowing that their love had become something bigger than themselves. A bridge between worlds, a new hope for peace, and proof that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't technology or politics, but the simple miracle of two beings choosing to love each other completely.